Morning, everyone. Good morning, Omega. Thank you, and thank you, Flo and Invest Turks and Caicos, for this opportunity to go ahead and speak to the new and up-and-coming entrepreneurs in the Turks and Caicos. So I'm very privileged for this opportunity, and I want to thank all of you and thank all of you for joining in today. So I'm going to try to be on time because I know the time police, Miss Omega, will be on my case. So let's get right into it. So today my task is to speak to you about 5 habits that you can develop to kickstart your dream as an entrepreneur. Now, as entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, we all have the dream of owning a successful business. But one thing is true about having a successful business. No one just stumbles into success. Now, I've heard a lot of success stories, but I've never heard someone say, well, you know what? I was on Instagram and I saw something the other day and I implemented it. And a couple of days later, boom, my business has blown up and I'm making tons of money and I'm so successful. I have never heard that before. What I've heard is that the path to success requires a series of disciplines and a series of habits that we all need to acquire. And today I'm going to talk to you very briefly about 5 of those habits, which if you learn to implement and steadily utilize in your life, in your professional life, it will help you not just to develop and start a business, but also build a business that will stand the test of time and also stand difficult times as we are in right now. So let me just start and share my screen so you can see what I'm going to talk to you about. Okay, great. So the screen should be shared. So as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about 5 habits that we can utilize to kickstart your entrepreneurial dream. And the first habit is plan ahead. Now, I've been in contact with many entrepreneurs, and some of them, they went to school to study a specific thing. Like a few of them are attorneys, for example. So they went to college, they went to law school, they worked for someone, and then they even started and went ahead and started their own company. And guess what? Within a very short period of time, they closed their business. Why? They said that they learned that after all of that, they didn't like what they were doing, or something happened and they just lost their passion. Now, while everyone is different, a lot of this could have been avoided if they had actually planned ahead. There's a phrase that says, begin with the end in mind. So if they had thoroughly thought out the whole process of what their job and what their career and what their business involved, maybe they could have saved themselves some useful years of going along a certain path, only to realize that they were actually on the wrong path. So here are a few tips for planning ahead. Tip number 1, Mr. James mentioned it earlier. Do what you enjoy. Now, there's a phrase that says, if you do what you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life. That is not totally true, but it does make the work easier. When you do what you enjoy, your work actually becomes play. And it helps you to make that business more sustainable because you are actually enjoying what you like. The second tip about planning ahead is to create a business plan. Now, many people don't like to create business plans, but business plans are very helpful in that it helps you to forecast and see the pitfalls and the obstacles ahead. It helps you to analyze your competition, the market, and it also helps you to figure out how much capital you're going to need, where you're going to get it from. It helps you to answer the key questions that can help your business continue to be sustainable. And the third point is to set goals for your business. No matter how old your business is, you should always be continually setting goals for it, short-term and long-term. And not only setting goals, you should also try to figure out how you're going to achieve those goals. So that's habit number 1, plan ahead. Habit number 2, think right. Now, starting and running and being a business and being an entrepreneur is very difficult. On top of that, starting and operating a business in a small market like the Turks and Caicos Islands is extremely difficult. Therefore, you have to have the right mindset as you approach it, because it's definitely going to be very challenging. So I remember when I first was considering getting involved in real estate, I was so excited of the opportunity, but I didn't have the right mindset. One of my first things was that, oh, okay, so what I like about this job is that I get to control my time. So I told my wife, hey, so I don't have to go to work from 9 to 5 like I used to when I used to work in the bank. I can just come as I go. I can take long lunch breaks. I cannot go in the office some days. It's going to be great. You know what she did? She immediately corrected me and said, no, you are not going to do such a thing. You are going to treat this new job in real estate as a serious job, just like you did at the bank. You're going to go to work and work from 9 to 5, because who knows, maybe that is the reason why some real estate agents aren't successful. And you know what? She was right. And I thank her, because immediately she corrected my wrong thinking. So here are a few tips to thinking right. Number one, believe in yourself. When you are an entrepreneur, very few people are going to believe in you. Very few people are going to believe in your idea. Very few people are going to believe in your business, which makes it more important that you believe in yourself. Number two, be self-motivated. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to always remain positive, and you have to always be enthusiastic. Point number three, visualize success. Now, many entrepreneurs visualize only early in the game. They would visualize opening up their business and getting started, and that would be just it. But visualization is such a powerful tool. We should always be using it. I use visualization a lot in my field. I always imagine myself being successful in making sales, especially when it's difficult to make sales. In fact, I visualize so much that sometimes when I'm in the process of making a sale, I actually have to stop and think to myself, now, am I actually making this sale, or am I visualizing it? But seriously, that is what happens, because you program your mind for success. You program your mind to filter and block off all of the negative energy, and that allows you to focus and do what you have to do. Habit number three, keep learning. Learning doesn't stop when you finish school. As a successful entrepreneur, you never stop learning, and you shouldn't stop learning. You should always be on top of your game. Successful entrepreneurs are students of their business. When I first got into real estate, one of the established real estate agents was in charge of training me. So he showed me all of the basics, all of the technical stuff. And I kept asking him the question. So yes, I know what an acre is, and I know what the attorneys do, but how do I actually sell? How do I actually convince somebody to buy a property? And he would just say, well, you'll pick it up. It'll come naturally. Don't worry about it. So I just paid attention to him. But one day I realized he was carrying around this briefcase. He always carried this briefcase. He never let me see what he had in this briefcase until one day he was at his desk and I saw the briefcase open. And guess what was in the briefcase? Now, for those of you who are very young, you wouldn't know what this is, but it was a briefcase filled with cassette tapes of sales training. Sales training that tells you how to sell. So he still didn't let me in, but one day I had the opportunity and I saw it open again. We didn't have a phone that could take a picture, but I wrote down what it was and I ordered it. And it was a series of cassette tapes that taught you how to sell. And I played those tapes in my vehicle over and over and over and over again. I learned what I had to learn until I was able to implement it. So getting into tip number 3, the things you have to do to keep learning is do your research. Don't just run when you see a good product and you run to try to introduce it to the market before anybody else. No, do your research. Make sure it's going to work. Make sure it's going to work here. Make sure that you can get the adequate supply that you have of it very quickly. Try to maybe even see if you can get the patent or the exclusive on the product. It pays to do your research before you go ahead and jump into something. The other point is to be an expert. Like James said earlier, learn as much as possible. Read as much as possible. And if you don't have a lot of time to read, do what I did. Turn your vehicle into your college, meaning play MP3s or CDs or all that sort of stuff that's in your field so that you can learn while you're driving instead of just listening to music, which is not really going to help you in your business. And the third point is to find a mentor. So I recommend that you have at least 2 mentors. Number 1, you should get a mentor that is in your particular field, someone who is already doing what you hope to do. Now that could be a challenge here. So one easy place to start, believe it or not, is YouTube. Start following those people on YouTube who are doing what you want to do. Then the other thing that you should do is to get someone who is local in the Turks and Caicos in a totally different business from yours, but as long as their business is successful, they can help you and give you tips and give you a new revelation of what you're doing based on where they're at. Let's move on to habit number 4. Habit number 4 is develop discipline. Now, discipline is one of the most difficult habits to develop, yet it's one of the most powerful and the most rewarding habits. One of my mentors once told me that all persons, everyone, every human being has a choice of choosing between 2 pains that they will experience. One is the pain of discipline. The pain of discipline is the pain and the stress and the aggravation of doing something that you know you have to do to be successful, but you still do it. So that's the pain of discipline. The other one is the pain of regret. Now, the pain of regret is the pain and the frustration and the sorrow that you experience when you didn't do something that you knew that you should do to be successful. Based on that, I live my life. I try to do everything that's necessary, that's going to make me successful, even if I don't like doing it or if I don't feel like doing it. And that is discipline. Discipline is doing what you have to do to be successful, even when you don't feel like doing it. Now watch this. Both the pain of discipline and the pain of regret are painful, but the pain of discipline only lasts for a very short period of time, but the rewards are astronomical. The pain of regret, on the other side, can last for a very long time, and it produces nothing other than more regret. When I first got in the real estate business, there were several young men who got in the business with me, but there are 2 in particular that almost every time I see them, they would say, "Boy, Walter, I regret not sticking in it. I regret not sticking in the business as long as you did, because I knew if I stayed with it, I would have been as successful as you. So that's the point. Do what you have to do. Face the pain of discipline and be prepared for the fantastic results that you will receive. So how do you develop that discipline? Number one, you focus on activities and not the results. In other words, you focus on what you have to do to make your business successful and not just making the money. When you focus on the activities that you have to do, the results will come. Number two, be consistent. Don't be good today and so tomorrow, and then the other day you have to be consistent. The market is looking for consistency. Every day you get up, you have to give it your 110%. Do whatever you're going to do to the best of your ability. In fact, the Bible puts it this way: in whatever you do, do it unto God and not unto man, because it's God who will. Hi guys, sorry, I guess I must have lost you. So I'm back on now. Just let me get my screen share back up. Okay, great. So we are still on habit 4, and the last point was hustle. And hustle is what I call consistent persistence. Every day, get out and work. Every day. Do what you have to do, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how you feel, just get out and do whatever you have to do and do your best for your customers. The final habit that you should develop is be flexible. The only constant in life is change. And that is so true, especially in this day and age. To be successful in these times, you definitely have to be flexible. One of the first things, change is often hard, but a lot of times it is a good thing as it stretches you and it actually makes you better. I remember saying to my agents a few months ago, when things were very difficult, I said, don't be fooled. With everything that's happening in this pandemic, if you adjust, things will actually work out to our benefit. Because look at it, we could hardly show any houses. There were hardly any tourists or any buyers on the island. But what we learned to do is to do more showings virtually. So you would go in a house and you'll make an appointment with a client and you'll just either with Zoom or with FaceTime, you would show them the house. And although many people didn't make a move or buy from doing that, as time progressed, people here and people all over the world got used to it. They adjusted. And now, right now, people are starting to buy properties just by seeing a video of the property. It's amazing. And I told them, this is actually going to open up the market to a lot more customers and a lot more sales, whether the pandemic stops soon or whether it continues on for a while. Because now you don't have to wait for customers to come here. Basically, with your phone, you can go to your customers. So that's one thing, you have to be able to adapt to change. Number 2 is be innovative. There's so many things up there, so many different ways of doing things right now. You just can't be resistant to change. One of my daughters University, they have a phrase. When I saw it, I was amazed, and I'm like, this is true. Basically, their phrase, which is their whole mantra of the school, is if you can't find a way, make a way. If you can't find a way, make a way. So that's what we have to do. We have to be innovative and make a way, because there is always a way. And finally, embrace failure. I have failed many times, a great deal of times. But what I've learned about failure is that it is crucial to success. Failure is mainly this. Failure is feedback. Failure is feedback. It's feedback on what you have done wrong, and it's feedback on the correction that you need to do to make it right. So embrace failure, because every time you fail, you get closer to being a success. So there you have it, the 5 habits to kickstart your dream. Plan ahead, think right, keep learning, develop discipline, and be flexible. Thank you all. Have a great day.